and also Karen's birthday.
It's hard to keep seated.
Where's the
when
cake?
I know. First item on the agenda is citizen concerns for anyone who has an item to address that's not already listed on the agenda. I understand Judge Hoffmeyer has something for us.
Thank you. I mentioned to Supervisor DeWitt the other day our resumption of jury trials, and I thought it would be a good idea that I stop in and tell you how we're doing, some issues that are going on, and some concerns. So we started resuming court hearings in July here, and I think things have generally gone well. Our protocols have met with acceptance, and we've been able to get those in-person hearings taken care of. Jury trials began a week ago around the state. We're in our process today of our first one. And we have tried to figure out how best to do that and maintain the 6 feet social distancing recommended by the Governor Reynolds and required by the Iowa Supreme Court. Around the state, many of our counties are going off-site for jury selection and some even for trials. And so we explored that opportunity, and it's important. Part of the reason I'm here is that usually the cost of our court system is bared by the county, and if we go off-site, those could be county expenses. To date, I've not gotten any of the Board of Supervisors involved because there's been no cost involved, and there's not yet being mentioned. But today we did our jury selection at the Long Line Center. I spoke with Bob Padmar, city manager, and it went marvelously. You know, the 2 big volleyball courts, 6 feet apart, and we called and asked, we didn't want to wear out our welcome, whether it was available next Tuesday, and I understand there's potentially a new management group taking control of the facility this week, and so it's not available next Tuesday. Now, I have a backup plan. I met with Tim Savona of the Spectrum Management Group and looking at the Orpheum Theater. We've not been there yet. It doesn't have the advantages the Long Lines had of parking, bathrooms, handicap accessible. It was just a wonderful venue. And so, but those are the 2, and I've reached out to the Shriners. However, there's no staff there, so you are physically tasked with setting up, tearing down, and parking is an issue there. But those are the 3 venues that I've already explored and are looking at.
Judge, can I interrupt you real quick?
Yep.
We've been paying as part of the partnership in that expo center, and they have a room that's supposed to be where like the future climbing wall is supposed to go. It's kind of seen as this 2 separate venues, so possibly that expo center could be.
Well, I've been working with Matt Salvatore. Is that where their new offices went into?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll remind him, or part of the reason I'm here is so you know they've helped us, and so if they say something to you, you're aware of it.
Well, we put about $1.5 million over the next 10 years into that, so.
Well, I'll make mention of that, and if they contact you, you know, please mention that.
And it was dedicated to that room, so.
and so the other side of things is while we've done jury selection, so we're coming back for the trial, and so we've found to try to meet that 6 feet distancing to be challenging. Tomorrow, when our trial begins, and because I have almost all law enforcement officers, they're going to be testifying from my seat, you know, because it's the best where people can hear and see. That's the issue. The sound and sight lines are our biggest obstacles. And so we can get through tomorrow, but I'm here just to say we're looking for all options and exactly what Supervisor Radig we're looking for. And so, and also I was just going to say, you know, we've done jury selection down here, and to make an ask if the situation presents, if we could do continued jury selection here or trials, if we can figure out how to work it in. And 8th floor is what we're considering for our jury deliberations. We can't fit our jurors in our little jury rooms and maintain that. So my purpose was to let you know of what has been going on, to inquire about availability here, and to solicit any suggestions of others. And so I will reach back to City Manager Padmore and them and maybe do a visit to see if that has some capability for us. But that's all I really just wanted to make you aware of, and if you have suggestions, my district court administration is a running point on it, and Stacy Maxfield, our assistant court administrator, you may not have met her, she's kind of relatively new, and then Peggy Ferricks, who replaced Lisa McNeil, are running point on that. So you can always call their office with any suggestions, and we've looked for proximity to the courthouse, thinking the trials would be here, but if we're encountering problems, we may just do trials and selection elsewhere, and there's nothing magic. We have kind of a checklist of requirements, and usually those are some form of Wi-Fi and a sound system is basically where we're at. But around the state, the convention centers, Davenport, Dubuque have all been the primary sources of things like that. But, any of those options would be available. So that's all I just wanted to inform and let you know about, and if you have suggestions, contact us, and I'll answer any questions you may have. Okay, thank you much.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly have no problem if you'd like to use either of these spaces. I don't think any of us do. If you need a direct route from this elevator up to the 8th floor, building services can help with
We're aware of that.
Okay.
We'll work with them. So if I can kind of consider that a yes, I'll continue to work through your office. And Karen, I usually stop by. Today did, just to make sure. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizen concerns? If anyone is watching by YouTube, the number to call in is 712-224-6014 at any time during the meeting. Item 2 is approval of the agenda. I'll move it. Second by DeWitt. Hearing no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Items 3 through 6 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 3 is approval of the minutes of the September 22nd meeting. Item 4 is approval of the claims. I do want to note a couple backup materials attached to this item in our agenda. One is an invoice from a law firm for the dispute involving the county auditor versus the Republican National Committee. The amount due is $24,001 for 128 hours of work. Simply wanted to provide this so there's no question what the board is doing with this action and paying it through the claims. Also included in our items is a section of Iowa code mandating that the county board pay for this claim. Are there any discussion? Is there any discussion on that item? Very well. Item number 5 from Human Resources includes A, approval of memorandum of personnel transactions, B, authorization to initiate the hiring process, and C, to approve the transfer of the appropriate funds remaining for FY 2021 of one full-time custodian from Building Services to the Sheriff's Office. Item 6 from Secondary Roads, County Engineer Mark Nera, includes A, approval of utility permit for Mid-American Energy on 170th Street and Union Avenue in Rock Township, south of Cushing, and B, approval of the underground utility permit for Western Iowa Telephone for fiber optic cable in Grant Township, and C, approval of the underground utility permit for Western Iowa Telephone for fiber optic cable in Wolf Creek Township along D38 and Jasper Avenue. I'll move the consent agenda. Second by DeWitt. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 7 from Community and Economic Development Director David Gleiser for action is approval to direct the Community and Economic Development Director to work with Simcoe and develop an agreement between the county and Simcoe which states the project scope, expected deliverables, and cost payment details.
Thank you, David Gleiser, Director of Community and Economic Development. As you know, back in July, the U.S. Economic Development Administration awarded Simcoe $400,000 for planning projects within their service region. In August, I came and asked the board for some consensus on submitting an application to them for $100,000 in order for us to update our general development plan. which was last updated in 2005. Submitted an application to Simcoe and received a tentative approval notice saying that they could provide $50,000 of the $100,000 request. So I'm here in front of you today to provide you with this update and go over a couple of different options. We do have the ability to just accept the $50,000 that they are offering of the CARES Act money, and we could go through our development plan and update a couple of sections. That's an option. We could allocate the other $50,000, and it would be payable in fiscal year 21-22. That would be an option to get the entire plan updated, or we could just decline the offer altogether and wait and see if there are other funding sources available in the future. It'd be my recommendation or my request that the board, through the budget process and the upcoming budget process, identify and allocate either through a combination of local option sales tax and or gaming revenue, and sort of earmark some dollars in the upcoming fiscal years for payable in fiscal year 21-22. That way we can update the entire plan. I've consulted with other relevant department heads in the county to see if this work would coincide or conflict with any long-range plans or, any work that other departments might be embarking on. And the general consensus was to ask the board for the other $50,000 and update the whole plan. And folks are on board to do the planning work. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions? I just want to say I agree with the recommendation. This is, obviously a culmination of our forward-thinking, long-term planning for rural communities, and it's a great step forward. So Dennis, as far as earmarking, to use that word, do you have any recommendations on those two funding sources?
Right now, I'd recommend gaming revenue. And there's a stipulation there, it depends how long, with Corona, where this goes, and also local option sales tax, where we find out in November what our refund could be back from the state, or we may have to take lesser payments throughout the year. Because right now, we pretty much spent all of our local option sales tax money. Gaming, we do have money available there, so I'd lean toward gaming revenue, because we know we'll have some money there.
And we can certainly reappropriate from a different source closer to the date. And this is how far off that this would actually need to be transferred?
It'd be next fiscal year, so we could make a decision probably during the budget cycle.
Okay. But in our worksheets during the budget process, it could show up under gaming obligations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
As a one-time expense?
21-22, yes.
Okay.
And if that's acceptable, I can work with Simcoe and put together an agreement for services, run it through the county attorney's office, and bring that back for final board review and approval.
So what motion are we looking for today?
I would say to go ahead and direct me to work with Simcoe and prepare that agreement for services and scope and bring that back for your review and consideration, and you folks through the budget process can make that allocation and do that work later.
I'll move that.
I'll second that motion by Raddick. Any other discussion? I know this is a long way off, but how long does this process take compared to the rural comprehensive plans?
We have an estimated timeline of 18 months from
Okay.
beginning to start.
And for the benefit of the public, this has to be done after those plans are completed?
I'm
Or
sorry?
it simply does this have to be done after those plans are completed, or it simply makes it more informed?
It informs it a lot better. What we're going to do is basically we're going to take all of the most current data from each city and help drive, our development plans going forward. And so we'll look at all the cities' future land use maps and the areas where they think they're going to grow and develop. And then, that'll help us take a look at our zoning district designations and see if we need to make any changes. So,
Do our neighboring counties already have something like this completed?
they should. To be honest with you, I'm not sure the status of their plans or how well they keep them updated. But a best practice would be to update these plans every 10 years, and they have a 20-year shelf life, so.
Okay.
Now, the last time I had checked that we had done comprehensive planning, I was told it hadn't been done in a long time. So was there what was done in 2005?
In 2003, the county updated its development plan, and then there was sort of a backlash from the community. There was some disagreement from the residents on land use within 2-mile buffer of the cities. And basically what happened is they wanted to change the zoning district designations for the agricultural states to not allow horses, goats, chickens, and people wanted to have those animals on those properties. And so they lobbied the planning and zoning department, and they were able to come up with some dollars and redo the plan in 2005. And in 2003, there were land use restrictions that basically county residents didn't like in the Luss Hills, where there were really strict requirements for development. And then, like I said, with the horses and the chickens and goats near the cities. Livestock. 4-H projects a lot of times.
Well, not like a CAFO, but more like a
Chicken coop.
backyard chicken.
Yeah.
Fine chicken coops.
But to Supervisor Raddick's point, I do feel like in the last 15 years, Woodbury County has embarked on a lot of planning efforts that were pro-development. And so I feel that this should really feed off of some of the documents that have already been produced, like the Envision 2050, our hazard mitigation plan, which has recently been updated, things like that, so.
Well, regardless of how Simcoe came to decide on the 50% number as far as funding our $100,000 request, I think that's kind of neat that it matches the 50%, contribution we've each made in the rural comprehensive plans, and just to show a continuation of that and the larger picture is helpful. So
point.
it's been a good partnership. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Item 8 from the county auditor is to authorize the chairman to sign Center for Tech and Civic Life Grant for the public purpose planning and operationalizing safe and secure elections in Woodbury County for the 2020 general election in the amount of $156,112.
This is a grant that I became aware of through the Secretary of State's office. The majority of counties, I believe, in Iowa are applying for money and have been awarded this money to help them get through the elections in a safe and secure manner. It's pretty broad in the way that you can spend it. It's going to help us a lot this year.
Do you have specific uses planned for it?
We're
Large
starting.
amount of money.
We just became aware of it, and we're putting a budget together now to use it.
Well, this will help.
It will help immensely.
Anyone have heartburn about accepting grant money?
That's an easy motion.
I will
like
move
that
it then. Well, I'll second it if you can.
Motion by Potabom, second by Radig. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 9 is reports on committee meetings. Anyone?
I did want to bring up in a Simcoe planning meeting, we discussed some planning dollars, and I had a few emails back and forth with Mark too on any potential for those planning dollars. But one thing that I had brought up that I had brought up the water trail idea again for a river trail over on the Little Sioux, and that kind of funding can't be used for that kind of planning, but There was interest from some of the other members to maybe pursue that again. So the DNR grant would be due this Friday, so it's not enough time to pursue like this year's funding. But I do think it would be good to put forward a committee, maybe through Simcoe facilitating, to start planning for next year's grant period, and including, you know, Cherokee County, maybe Monona County, and all our different conservation departments as well, to pursue something to that end. So I'm just throwing it by you guys here today, since, you know, I think it would be a good idea to do for tourism to Woodbury County. We did see a large increase in the amount of people buying things like kayaks and bikes and, you know, outdoor recreation equipment. So I think it's a good time to maybe capitalize on that in the area and start a committee for planning for it here in the future. I'll volunteer to be the guy from our county as long as I'm still around.
No objections? Hearing none, any other committee meeting reports? Mr. DeWitt?
Same.
I believe it might be knowledge by now, but Rolling Hills Mental Health Region has been approached by Humboldt and Pocahontas counties to join. We're making it a 10-county region. We're having a special meeting tomorrow. I'm going to do my best to get there because I've got several things going this week. But to my knowledge, we won't have anything necessarily looking to block them. They're relatively smaller counties. I think, if I remember the numbers right, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000 for one and 6,500 for the other, which I thought they were bigger than that. But would add to the strength of the region should they go with population, or because at one time the DHS was talking about making it only like 4 or 5 regions in the state, and this might be a step towards either land mass or population. I'm not sure which, but again, will be a special meeting tomorrow talking about that and trying to dissect it and see if they have an issue. I haven't gotten anything out of them yet as to why in particular they're leaving their current regions, but as in the past, they're under a time stamp that they have to get this thing done, applied for, and like that. So moving forward with that.
It's interesting. We've heard the term growing pains with Woodbury County in regards to mental health regions, but I don't know when they'll be over for any of the other regions anywhere in the state. Any other reports on committee meetings? I don't have any. I just, it's my first night home last night with a new baby, so I got about 30 minutes of sleep. I don't
Get
have
your
any.
car towed?
What's that? No, I didn't. I parked the car 2 houses down Thursday night, Friday night, took my wife to the hospital for a C-section. Got home 2 days later to a police tow sticker on my car. One of my nice, kindly neighbors
Looking out.
invoked the letter of the law.
I was going to say, who'd you get
The
mad?
spirit of the law. What's that?
Who'd you get mad?
I don't know. People must know where I live. So that was fun. But I'm glad it didn't take another couple days or we would have arrived home to a missing car.
You don't have a car that like stands out in the world in color.
No, this one parked was the black one. Oh. Yeah, that's of note. Item 10, any citizen concerns? Andy, any callers?
No callers, 8 watchers.
8 watchers. That's better than 6
Like a
last time.
25% increase. That's huge.
But not quite 10.
Not quite.
And it's my birthday, Andy. You know this. All right, we'll get there. Any other board concerns? Last item, board concerns? All right. We are adjourned.
Say, Mark.